name is Jessie and I am a 25-year-old female. I had three close friends during college, and one of them was my college roommate Wendy. We took a bachelorette party trip to Vegas, and she slept with an old flame right next to me. My husband found out about this, and it's causing a big rift in our marriage, and I need a constructive perspective. That's a little detail about me. I am married with a 1-year-old. Wendy and her fiancé were engaged for 6 months before we decided to embark on the trip to Vegas for her bachelorette party. My three close friends and I do not live in the same city, so we didn't see each other that often, which made the trip much more anticipated. We've had our share of craziness during our college days. We drank a lot and had our share of boyfriends. But when I met my husband, I knew I had to change because of him. He is a godly man, very spiritual, and he influenced me a lot. Fortunately, I was saved by Jesus Christ and gave my life to him, leaving my drinking and partying days behind. I spoke with my friends on the phone and we organized the trip together. I was a bit hesitant about going to a bachelorette party because of all the stigma that surrounds it, but my husband reminded me about it as well. I assured him that I spoke with my friends about it and there would be no infidelities or excessive drinking because we were too old for that. We had that kind of trust between each other. Moreover, all my friends were in relationships. My two other female friends and I had been eagerly planning for my college roommate Wendy's bachelorette party in Las Vegas for weeks. We all arrived at the airport around the same time, excited and ready to embark on our adventure. As we boarded the plane, I could feel the excitement building inside all of us as we felt like we were back in college party mode. We all saved up to make the trip memorable for my dear friend. Upon arrival at McCarran International Airport, we hailed a taxi and made our way to the hotel. It was a beautiful place with all the luxuries and amenities that Vegas had to offer. After checking in, I headed straight to my room to drop off my bags. Wendy and I would be sharing the same room, just like we did in college, except this time we had 2 separate queen-size beds instead of 2 twin beds. My other 2 friends were sharing another room. We had decided to share to save money and spend more on entertainment. After quickly freshening up, we headed out to explore the city. The bright lights, sounds, and sights of Vegas were overwhelming. I could see the excitement on my friends' faces as we all walked down the strip, taking in the many sights and sounds. We visited some of the famous casinos and played some slot machines, even though none of us were big gamblers. The highlight of my first day was a live show, which was an exciting experience for all of us. The second day was the big day, the bachelorette party. We all decided to start with a spa day to pamper ourselves after a relaxing morning. We went to a rooftop pool to enjoy some sunshine and cocktails. In the evening, we all dressed up and went to a fancy restaurant for dinner. The food was exquisite and the drinks flowed freely. We all had a great time, laughing and reminiscing about old times. As the night progressed, we went to a club, which was packed with people dancing and having fun. We were all dancing the night away and having a fantastic time. As I and my friends explored the city, my friends couldn't help but notice the abundance of attractive men in Vegas. They talked about hooking up with guys, but I tried to be the adult in the room, reminding them that they were all in a relationship and this wasn't that type of trip. We've grown past that. We had several guys approaching us, but I was always the one sending them packing. And I noticed my friends didn't like that. They told me to relax and they were just having fun and not going to take any of the guys home. I relaxed a bit and allowed my girlfriends to have their fun because they spent a lot on this trip and I didn't want to act like their mom. However, I was surprised when my college roommate Wendy ran into a guy she used to date. They had a tumultuous relationship and she had not seen him in years. It turns out it wasn't a coincidence because Wendy knew that the guy now lives in Vegas and she contacted him as soon as she came to town. This behavior used to be normal for us back in college. We were used to dating multiple guys at the same time, but this time we were different. We were all in some level of a relationship, so I kept an eye on my girlfriends to make sure they didn't do anything crazy. As the night went on, we started drinking, and some of my morals became loose. We were dancing and partying like the college days and having fun when my roommate Wendy spotted her old flame across the room. He came straight to her and she introduced him to us. I remember Wendy telling us about him. He was very good-looking and had that player Casanova vibe written all over him. They chatted for a while, reminiscing about old times and catching up on each other's lives while I was paying attention to some other people. The guy seemed genuinely happy to see her, and before I knew it, they were dancing together. My friends and I watched from afar, and it was nothing erotic, so we were happy for my roommate because she was having fun. I could see the chemistry between them, and it was clear they still had feelings for each other. After a few songs, the guy asked my roommate if she wanted to step outside and get some fresh air. She hesitated at first, but then agreed. My friends and I watched as they left the club and disappeared into the night. When they didn't come back for a while, I gathered the girls together to search for her. We went looking for her and caught her making out with him at the corner. We laughed it off, and I didn't remember getting mad about it because we were all intoxicated and in a fun vibe. The guy then told us that he and Wendy had a history and wanted to give it another chance. The guy told us that one of his friends had a suite and he was hosting an after party, so he invited us to join him. My friends wanted to go, so I agreed. The 5 of us, including the guy, decided to continue the night with an after party in his friend's suite at the hotel. We all made our way to the spacious and luxurious suite, which had an incredible view of the city lights. The party continued with drinks, music, and laughter as we met several successful men. I lost touch with my 3 friends as we were all talking to men who were approaching us. I met a very handsome guy that I was attracted to, but I had to remind myself that I was married and couldn't cross any boundaries. He was funny, charming, and made me feel at ease. Before our conversation could go any deeper, I excused myself because I noticed Wendy getting too comfortable with an old flame. She seemed smitten with him and they were happy together. I tried to break them up so we could go back to our hotel, which wasn't too far from where we were. As the night wore on, we all started to get a little sleepy and one by one, we decided to head back to our own rooms. I told the guy to leave, but he kept following us and talking to Wendy. At one point, she had her arm around him as we walked into the hotel. She kept introducing him as her friend to me. My other 2 friends also had 2 guys with them. It was as if they didn't understand that we were in a committed relationship. It was almost like they were still college girls and hadn't changed. When we got to the hotel, I was so tired that I just walked into the room, lay on the couch, and fell asleep. I was woken up by a lot of noise coming from the bathroom. I got up to find out what it was, and saw Wendy and the guy showering together. I was shocked and asked her what she was doing. She told him he had to leave, and we kicked him out. It was clear that they had already had sex. I didn't see them, but they were both unclothed in the shower, so it was a reasonable conclusion. I asked my friend why she did that to her husband, and she swore that she didn't have sex with him. I didn't want to argue with her because I was tired and sleepy. It had been a long day. I was sure my other 2 friends were doing something similar, but they were in another room, so I couldn't police them. I took a shower, changed, and went to bed. The room had 2 queen-sized beds. I was still drunk, so I passed out easily. I woke up after about 30 minutes to see them having sex in the other bed. He was doing her from behind, right in front of me. I freaked out and screamed at them to stop. I reminded them that she was getting married. But it was too late. He had already finished inside her. I saw it when he stood up. He didn't even use protection. My friend was just lying there with a naughty grin on her face, like she had just stolen some cookies. I don't know how long they had been going at it, and I couldn't understand why it didn't wake me up sooner. I had already started dreaming. He pulled up his pants and left. After he left, I gave my girlfriend an angry stare, and she started apologizing to me. I ignored her and went back to sleep. The following day, I was giving her the silent treatment, and she apologized to me. I also suspected that my other 2 friends went home with men as well. All was forgiven before the end of the day. We caught a flight in the morning, and we all went back to our separate cities. When I arrived home, my husband asked me about the trip, and I told him everything except for what my friends did. I felt guilty for omitting those details because we are very honest with each other. 2 days later, I told him the truth of what my friends did. He told me that I had to call my friend and tell her to confess to her fiancé, but I refused to do so. He told me that if I didn't tell her fiancé, I was an accomplice and just as guilty as her. My husband kept pressuring me for a week until I conceded and decided to call Wendy and tell her to confess. Wendy refused and told me that her fiancé would cancel the wedding and that she would delete herself if that happened. I told my husband that my friend said she would delete herself if her fiancé found out and broke up the wedding. My husband was dismissive. He felt like she should have thought about it before she cheated. I felt like my husband was being inconsiderate and didn't understand how difficult it was for me. We had an argument over this, and he kept using the moral high ground and wanted me to expose all my friends and go nuclear on them. I told him that they are my friends, and we go way back, and I didn't even know the other 2 friends were having an affair in Wendy. A few weeks later, I thought everything was forgotten. Then Wendy called me crying, asking me how her fiancé found out about her affair. I told her that I didn't tell him anything, but she didn't believe me. She cursed me and told me that we were no longer friends. I called her back, but she wouldn't answer her phone. I confronted my husband, and he admitted that he called Wendy's fiancé and told him everything. I was shocked and angry. I felt betrayed by my husband. I told him that I couldn't share anything with him, and I even threatened to divorce him because I couldn't trust him anymore. The worst part is that he refuses to apologize to me and believes that he was right and did the right thing. But that's not the point. The point is that it wasn't his place to expose Wendy. He took it upon himself because of his self-righteous attitude. He also wanted me to cut ties with all my friends, but I refused. Our marriage is going through some challenges because of this, and I don't know how to handle it. I know what Wendy and my friends did was wrong, but what my husband did was wrong too. It's hard for me to get over this. Please tell me if I was wrong. Was my husband right for doing this? I need a different perspective. Please be constructive in your perspective. I need help to rebuild the trust I used to have in my husband. Having a bachelor or bachelorette party, in most cases, is an excuse to cheat. If you are getting married to someone you presume is the love of your life, there should not be a need for one last night of fun as if you are having your last meal before you go to prison. If you need one last night of fun before you spend the rest of your life with your true love, then you probably should not be getting married to that person. Having a bachelorette party in Vegas just puts you in the prime location to cheat because that is what Vegas was designed for. You put yourself in a position to cheat, and mixing it up with alcohol is a recipe for debauchery. Now let us talk about your friend Wendy. Wendy's infidelity was premeditated and was not a mistake. She knew her old flame lived in Vegas. Maybe that is why she hosted the bachelorette party in Vegas, so she could meet up with her old flame one last time before tying the knot. That city, and she got you to lie to your husband and make it appear as if it was a collective idea to go to Vegas, which was the first lie she told you. Secondly, you have shown where your loyalty lies, and it is not with your husband or your son. You try to act like you are in control of your friends, pretending to be the mother hen amongst them, but the truth of the matter is that you're not even in control of yourself. You got drunk when you promised your husband that you would not get drunk. So if you're not in control of yourself, how could you be in control of your friends? Not only did your friend Wendy lie to you twice, the first lie was that she was not going to Vegas to cheat, and the second lie was that she was not being intimate when you clearly caught her red-handed in the shower. Yet, you are willing to forgive her the following day, and still willing to protect her relationship. However, you are debating whether to jeopardize your own marriage, in which you share a child, which just shows how out of touch you are. Your husband exposed Wendy to protect your marriage because he knew that eventually birds of a feather flock together. After you failed on all the promises you gave him before the trip, the only way he could salvage the situation was for you to sever contact with your toxic friends. You do not have as much power as you thought you had amongst your friends because you could not police anyone. You made a commitment to your husband that you and your friends would not drink, and you failed on those two accounts. To make matters worse, you initially lied to him by intentionally omitting the details of the infidelity. Your husband did the right thing not only to protect you from your friends, but to protect his fellow man from an impending disaster. You think you're a born-again Christian, but deep inside, you're still weak and it wouldn't take much for you to slide back into debauchery. Please don't forget to like and subscribe to this video for more content like this.